2311 Racing Front Row Motorsports refiled their motion for an injunction. Chase Elliott wins another most popular driver. How does this keep happening? Plus, the F1 movie, it looks really bad. Welcome back to Breakheart. I'm Matt. It's not every day where I'm scrolling through Twitter, X, whatever you want to refer to it as, and a tweet literally will stop me in my tracks. But that's exactly what happened on Friday when I was scrolling through my feed and I see a tweet from Antonio Brown. I don't follow him, but somebody had retweeted it. And in the tweet, it said, one of my favorite crackers of all time, Mark Martin. And then a picture of Mark Martin's face on a FaceTime call. Absolute preposterous tweet, something I never thought I would see in my entire lifetime. Just an all-time hilarious way to describe Mark Martin. Out of all the people in the world, one of my favorite crackers, and then Mark Martin followed up underneath it is not what I would have expected at all. Laugh out loud funny tweet. I guess he's going to be on Antonio Brown's podcast, which will surely be a roller coaster of a ride because that guy is an interesting fella. Yeah, that's, I think, about the safest thing I can say about him because he's done a lot of things in his career, some of which he says he doesn't remember. He says he doesn't remember anything about his NFL career. Either way, hilarious moment on Twitter Friday night. Those are the moments that I think we all like to see. All right, let's get into the actual news of the day. We'll start off with on Friday, 2311 Racing Front Row Motorsports refiled their motion for an injunction. So they're requesting an injunction to be able to use their charters in 2025. They, of course, did that earlier, a couple weeks ago, a month ago at this point. The judge denied the first request. They were going to appeal it. They withdrew their appeal earlier in the week, and now they are going to refile the appeal with, quote, plaintiffs intend to file a motion for preliminary injunction in the district court with additional evidence of changed circumstances. They also noted that they would like part of this new motion sealed, which tells me that they are finally coming to the table with actual numbers. So if you remember back, one of the big sticking points for why their initial motion was denied is because the judge was like, you have to give me actual numbers. How much money will you lose? Will you lose these sponsors? Prove to me that you're going to lose these sponsors. Prove to me you're going to lose these drivers. Prove to me how much money you're going to lose by not being a charter car. And they kept wanting to deal in hypotheticals, and he cannot legislate against hypotheticals. You just can't. You can't make a ruling against something where you're like, well, if and but, well, okay, great. It doesn't really work out that well. So now it appears that they're going to come with numbers. And part of me thinks that the Riley Herbst announcement earlier in the week, the same day where they withdrew their appeal, has something to do with it. I think that they're going to go to the table and be like, look, if we don't have a charter, we lose this deal with Riley Herbst, his family, Monster. We're going to lose X amount of dollars because of that and, put X amount of people out of work. I would imagine in my brain, when I'm thinking up how they're going to argue it, that's how they're going to argue it. Now, they could take a completely different route, but that seems to be a pretty logical step for them to be able to do this. Now, we'll see what actually comes out of it and if that's what happens. Obviously, we're not going to get all the information, which is a bummer because I think we all are snoops and we want to know all the information that we can. At the same time, I saw people on the internet be like, well, maybe because Martin said that, he's not racing for 2311 Racing now, that will be their way of showing, that they're going to lose this deal. Well, Martin is not the car that Martin was going to get into, not a chartered car. So it really has nothing to do with this at all. So I think we can set the Martin Truex Jr. stuff to the side. I would imagine that they're going to argue this around Riley Herbst. Now, of course, there's certainly other, directions that they can go with this, but it just feels like a convenient coincidence that it all happened on the same day. So we'll wait and see what that motion is and how the judge is going to proceed with it and maybe the additional information that they are providing. On Friday night, Chase Elliott won most popular driver again. And so for this segment, I'm going to do it with the same level of excitement Chase Elliott does all of his media appearances with. So he won the most popular driver for the 7th straight year, carrying on his family's legacy. He, of course, picked up fan base from his dad, Bill Elliott, his other dad, Dale Earnhardt Jr., and some of Jeff Gordon's fan base. Because remember, he used to drive the 24 until he remembered, oh yeah, my dad drove the 9 and convinced Rick Hendrick to let him drive the 9. So now he's the most popular driver again. An arbitrary award, which is a popularity contest that requires people to vote online every single day, multiple times a day if they would like to. And it appears that the Chase Elliott fans have nothing better to do than sit in front of their computers or on their cellular devices and or tablets or iPads, depending on what you would like to refer to them as, and vote. Now, the top 3 vote getters, according to Bob Pockris, were Chase Elliott, your winner, at number 1, Kyle Larson, your second place finisher, at number 2, and Ryan Blaney, your third place finisher, at number 3. I've been to a lot of races. I've been to a lot of racetracks. I see a lot of Kyle Larson merchandise. I see a lot of Ryan Blaney merchandise. So much so that I think it outnumbers Chase Elliott merchandise. Now, maybe their fans don't see the need to vote in an arbitrary popularity contest, which is why Chase Elliott wins the Popular Driver Award again. Now, some fans on the internet, the Taylor Swift fans of NASCAR, those being Chase Elliott fans, not the rational ones. I know who you are. You're fine. It's the irrational ones who are like, Chase has his own merch trailer. Of course he's the most popular driver. To which I say, so does Ross Chastain. So by that well thought out logic, is he also the most popular driver? The answer is no. Now, when it comes to Chase Elliott, maybe it's just me. I don't understand the popularity. Is he a good race car driver? Yes. Does he do anything to help grow the sport? No. Will he be on Netflix? To quote Chase Elliott, no, unquote. So, what is he doing to be this popular? Is it because he's from the Southeast? Is it because his dad is Awesome Bill from Dawsonville? Is it because his other dad is Redneck Jesus and Dale Earnhardt Jr.? Or do people just say, hey, he wears a Braves hat, so now everybody in the lower Southeast has to be a fan of him? Who knows? But Chase Elliott wins the most popular driver award again. And now for the 2025 edition, I am going to rig it and make sure that Chase Elliott doesn't win again. We are going to start the campaign tomorrow. No, kidding. In 2025, because we can't start it now. We're going to start the campaign in 2025, and we're going to stack the votes. Okay, listen, I can't do this anymore. I just can't. I don't understand how he's the most popular driver. I mean, I do understand it. He is popular. I see when we go to the racetracks, he takes the lead or whatever. People do get up and cheer. I see a lot of Ryan Blaney, Kyle Larson merch. I see a ton of Kyle Larson merch. And maybe it's just the fact that people don't care about voting in this, and kind of the Chase Elliott fans view this as like, I don't know, some sort of scout patch where they wear it with pride that he's the most popular driver. Again, maybe that's what it is. But yeah, I'm kind of baffled by it. So Chase Elliott wins most popular driver award. For the Cup Series, the Xfinity most popular driver, Justin Allgaier. Phenomenal pick. Who doesn't like Justin Allgaier, especially coming off a championship year? And the most popular driver in the Truck Series was Roger Carruth. Again, a really popular pick because the dude does a lot for racing. He goes out there and does any sort of media obligation and promotes the sport whenever he can. He does a lot of iRacing live streams, interacts with fans. He's really, really good. And I'm not saying that Chase Elliott isn't a good ambassador for the sport. At the racetrack, he's super nice to fans. He talks to people on pit road. Like, I have no qualms about that. It's just what he doesn't do outside of the racetrack. He doesn't do any media. He doesn't do anything to really help grow the sport. And listen, I understand the privacy aspect of everything. 100% understand that. But you can do the Netflix show without Netflix going to your house and without Netflix going and, infiltrating the town that you live in and stuff like that. They can just stay at the racetrack. Maybe he'll be in it, in the next season of Full Speed, which is coming up, or you'll be able to see it in February or January, whenever it drops. I have heard, and I did see them kind of following the 9 at a couple races this year, and maybe they were just getting B-roll footage of it, but I don't know if he's necessarily going to be in it, but he'll make an appearance in it, if that makes any sort of sense. So, yeah, Chase Elliott, your most popular driver. Again, I'm not saying he needs to go out there and do Saturday Night Live like he's Jeff Gordon or anything like that, but it just feels like he doesn't do too much to grow the sport. I know people are going to be in the comments and be like, he doesn't have to do anything. If it's not putting money in his pocket, why would he do it? Well, because making the sport bigger and more popular will put money in his pocket. He can demand a higher salary. He can demand more for appearances. It can help attract sponsors. He's going to make more money. I get it, but at the same time, like, I think Earnhardt, Gordon, Dale Jr., Tony Stewart, Jimmy Johnson, Matt Kenseth, Carl Edwards, all those guys really understood it too. So I think it's kind of a bit of a toss-up here, but yeah, he's your most popular driver again. Today's video is brought to you by Driven Sunglasses. Head over to drivensunglasses.com today. Use code BRAKEHARD at checkout for 20% off plus free shipping. Holidays are coming up, guys. I'm a huge fan of the Classic. I'm a huge fan of the Camber. Those are the two sunglasses that I wear literally every single day. Head over to drivensunglasses.com today. Use code BRAKEHARD at checkout for 20% off plus free shipping. All right, let's talk about the Formula One movie real quick. So the trailer dropped back in June or July. I think it was July, around the Silverstone weekend. And it came out and I watched it and I was like, so Brad Pitt is just going to be Joe Tanto, isn't he? Like, he's going to be Sylvester Stallone in Driven. If you haven't seen Driven, do yourself a favor, watch it, because it is a cinematic masterpiece. And I say that not being serious at all. But it's definitely worth your watch. And now this Formula One movie is supposed to be one of the most realistic racing movies of all time. Keep in mind that they're using Formula 2 cars for Formula 1 cars, but that's beside the point. They also have a 60-something-year-old Brad Pitt coming out of retirement to get back into a Formula 1 car and be competitive and help, mentor and train this new young up-and-coming driver. Again, very Joe Tanto, Jimmy Bly like. So it very much feels like it's just Driven all over again. But then David Land, the IndyCar YouTuber, posted this video from Friday night at the Las Vegas Grand Prix, where between sessions they were doing filming for the movie. And it appears to be Brad Pitt or his teammate, I'm not really sure which one it is, walking on the front stretch with the safety car flying towards them, and then they just collapse on the ground in the most dramatic fashion ever. Keep in mind, Roman Grosjean went through an Armco barrier. He was trapped, burning alive, manages to pull himself up out of the race car, jump over the Armco, loses a shoe in the process somehow, nearly burned to death, and he still got out of the car perfectly fine in a less dramatic fashion than this person just collapses on the front stretch. I don't have high hopes for this. That scene reminds me a lot of like in Driven, where the car goes flying off into the creek and lands down there. Bo Bamberg, maybe? Is that Brandenburg? I can't remember his name off the top of my head. And you see them hop over the fence and they're running down, they got to save him, everything like that. It just feels over the top dramatic. And anybody that's a fan of the sport is going to watch it and be like, oh, yikes, that's just absolutely terrible. It's like watching the Gran Turismo movie. Are there some aspects in that are good? Yeah, there's some really, really well shot sports car scenes. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, some of that is really good. But as a fan of racing, I watched it the first time on a plane and I filled an entire page of notes on my phone and was like, this is terrible. Like, this is just not good. And people are like, oh, this is one of the greatest racing movies ever. It's not. It's really bad, actually. It's not very good at all. Rush, good movie. Ferrari, not a great movie. Ford versus Ferrari, good movie. Bad casting or bad locations in some of it, where Daytona was Fontana. That never worked. Still, that tweet kills me. And anytime I tweet it, I tweet out that I can't believe they're tearing down the site of the Rolex 24 Hours at Daytona, and people just lost their minds and they're like, dude, that's Fontana. Yeah, it is. So you haven't seen the movie, or you didn't pick up on it in the movie. Not sure when Daytona got a concrete wall separating the front stretch in pit road, but I digress. I have no high hopes for this movie whatsoever. But having said that, I will absolutely go see it and give them my money just so I can make a video talking about it. And hey, maybe it will be good. Right? I saw the director this past week was talking about how in the editing room, Lewis Hamilton's been in there and been like, hey, listen, you're not in the right gear here. The shift point's wrong, stuff like that. I really like that aspect of it. And maybe that will help salvage some of it. But if the storyline is just over the top and bad, yeah, I don't think so. Also, if a 60-year-old Brad Pitt is competitive in Formula One, that means Fernando Alonso is literally never leaving. So we've got, another 18 years of Fernando, 16 years, however old he is at this point. So strap in, guys. We might be around for a long time with Fernando. So let me know in the comments what you think about the Mark Martin tweet from Antonio Brown, 2311 Racing, filing a new motion for an injunction. Chase Elliott, winning most popular driver, the Formula One movie. Like and subscribe to the channel. Follow me on TikTok at BrakeHard, Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook at BrakeHardBlog.